So the problem that we've got is on our .ca site
Yeah.
for Vernon Tarps. You can keep it recording, it's fine. Like we have a whole bunch of pages where it says the page isn't indexed, it's crawled,
Yeah.
currently not indexed, but there's no indication what to do about it. And typically what it is, David, is it's products that don't have a lot of content, but like there was one, I think the example I gave you has got a bunch of content.
Yeah.
Doesn't say like it's duplicate or anything like that. So I'm just not sure what to do about it.
Okay, great. No, this is a super question. So the error, first of all, kudos to you for looking in Search Console and seeing this error. Right? Hooray. Second of all, it's a really common, when I say error, the word I should be used is notice, because this is not necessarily an error. This is Google saying, for your information, we crawled it, but we decided not to add it to the index. So in some cases, that might be pages like your blog archive pages.
Sure, those I don't worry about.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you see them listed, this is not a list of errors. This is a list of, I need to go through this and decide, do I want Google to index it or not?
Right.
Right. And so in this case, this is a product page for a unique product. And yes, you do want Google to index it, right?
Right.
Right. So that is the use of this report. You've not only looked in Search Console, you've used the report properly. So kudos. Two, there are many reasons why it may not be indexed. And it's not just duplicate content. Okay.
Okay.
Some of it could be too deep in your website's crawl. So for instance, if when the depth is measured from the home page. Now we know as SEO people, not everybody lands on the home page. We want them to land on the most relevant page and start there. We don't want them to have to find it. But for depth of crawl, we measure from the home page. So how many steps at the least would it take to get to that page from the home page? Home page, some sort of category, maybe some sort of subcategory, maybe 6 pages deep on that subcategory to find the product. Well, that's pretty far deep into the site. And so because of that, Google may say this must not be a very important page because it's just buried. This is very common with e-commerce like this site.
I'm wondering if that's the case.
So you're right to look at duplicate content because that would be another place why this Google may not add it to the index.
But wouldn't they say that?
No, they do not mention duplicate content in Search Console.
They have before for us.
And figure it out.
They have before. I've seen it. Like
I don't believe so.
They did. Remember at the very beginning when we were doing the .ca and the .com?
Oh, okay.
They did.
Not the last time I'll be wrong today. So
but maybe it's rare. Maybe it's rare.
I think that's the case. So number one, if this is a very important product, find a way to move it up in the order. So for instance, if the example I gave, it's a 6 pages deep on a subcategory, then move it to at least like the first page of that subcategory. Maybe there's a way you could reorder it.
There's actually, as I'm thinking about it, I think there's a bunch of pages that might be like this where there's no reason why it can't move up. There's no reason why it can't move up.
So that's one way. Another way is, and this is a really good reason for a blog, because blogs can get people to a particular product or deeper into a site a lot quicker. Blogs are not just about ranking and SEO. They're not just about long tail traffic. One of the biggest values of a blog post is the internal links you can build to your other stuff, especially something like this, where it's really deep And so maybe maybe if you just wrote a new blog post about things to consider when buying this kind of product, and then link to a page that has some of the now that's not as deep, right? Now, when we get to blogs, if you've written in blogs long enough, those blog posts get really deep, right? You know, that's where category pages come in. Category pages allow you to bypass the main blog archive and say, okay, I'm going to skip all the blogs and talk about all the blogs in one category, and which then makes the shorter distance to the blog posts. So you see what we're doing here? We're finding ways to build internal links to something that's important, because Google uses internal links within your site to evaluate how important something is. And if it's no internal links except one, it says, oh, that must not be all that important to them. So I'm not going to bother to add it to my index, because, hey, index is a limited commodity, right? They can only add so much. They don't want to add everything. So now the other side of it is maybe so thinking about this from an internal linking perspective could be helpful too. So this is why also breadcrumbs are important, right? Breadcrumbs add internal links, but also like anywhere you have content. We've talked about the importance of content on category pages for e-commerce websites, right? Well, one category of things is probably related to another category. And you might mention another category on a page just because it's natural, right? Well, what if that became an internal link too, right? So this is where this is one of these wonderful uses of Screaming Frog. And I'm a big fan of Screaming Frog. If like, I'm big on not buying SEO tools before you need to, right? I'm not here to sell you into more tools. But if you're a developer and you have a very large website or one of the other, Screaming Frog is a worthwhile investment, because you can crawl a site and you can use it to find internal linking opportunities. There's several articles about how to do this. I wrote one on Curious Ants. There's some other recent developments in Screaming Frog that will help you crawl the site and find places that a variation of that idea is mentioned. And if you add the links, now that's a tedious process, going in and manually adding links. But in this case, if this product is really important to the client and not indexed because they found it but not indexed it, then a couple of internal links to make it no longer quite as deep might be just what you need.
Well, it still is the same level from the home page, but maybe not from what you're saying. It's not from the blog itself.
Well, but by adding more links, so if, first of all, having more links is always going to help you, but presumably some of those links are higher up in the architecture of your site.
Right.
And therefore, if you could put a link higher up in the architecture, it might not be 12 steps deep into your website. It now might be 6 steps deep. Right?
Yeah.
And it might be just enough. Now, 6 steps is still pretty deep into a website, but so then you just have to make a decision. All right, is this that important? Now, let's say clients like, we have a special on this product. We really need to promote it, and it's crawled but not indexed. Well, then I'd simply add a link from the homepage straight to that product. And now the depth is 1. And that you're using the power of your homepage to build a link to that product. And that probably will be enough to get that indexed.